Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at the 2023 CUSA Kickoff. Joined now by Sam Houston head coach Casey Keeler, quarterback Keegan Shoemaker, and linebacker Trevor Williams. We'll begin with a short opening statement from Coach Keeler before opening it up to questions for him and our two student athletes. Thank you as well to those joining us today via Zoom. Please be sure to type your question in the chat along with your name and affiliation, and we will get to those once we finish here in the room. Coach Keeler.
Yeah, we're excited to be here and join Conference USA. Last year was a transition season, and one of the things I've tried to explain is that at no time in the history of college football has a team transitioned during the age of the transfer portal. And so we looked at it in a unique way. We realized that a lot of our players could move on and play at other schools because we were going to have a 9-game schedule, and we're going to be able to play for anything than what the standard is at Sam Houston. And so we made some unique decisions. And I think those decisions now today has brought us to a place where we feel we have a lot deeper team than we would have had going into the transition in Conference USA if we wanted to redshirt those guys. What we did, we brought our players in one at a time. I brought Trevor Williams in, and those high-end guys who had a year of redshirt, and I said, listen, this team has won a national championship. This team has gone through the greatest 10 months in the history of college football, winning 21 straight games and 3 conference championships along with that national championship. You've earned the right to leave Sam Houston on your terms. If that means playing the season, let's go. If that means that you would like to take your red shirt and get a chance to play in Conference USA, that's awesome. And so about 15 of our guys decided to take that red shirt. And I'll tell you, as a college football coach, it's one of the most difficult things I ever had to do is to watch the team on the field not have all of its best players because they're standing behind me. But now that we're here today, we're really happy that we have Markel Perry and Trevor Williams and Ethan Hagler, and all those guys have extra years of eligibility. And we can now go into Conference USA with what we feel is a chance to compete.
Jack Nixon, New Mexico State Aggie Radio Network. Coach, is your defense kind of your building block for this year, do you feel?
Yeah, I like our roster overall. But boy, we redshirted 3 great linebackers and a great defensive end. And we have a bunch of guys back in the secondary also. So we're built on defense. And with the leadership we have over there, the talent we have over there, I think we can compete right away in Conference USA. But at the same time, we really only lost one player offensively, Cody Crest. So we bring back Ife Adehi and Noah Smith, and I said Ethan Hagler earlier, who's just a tremendous football player for us. So we bring back a lot of experience on offense too. So again, I like our roster, I like our starting lineup. I think we have a little bit more depth than most FCS programs would have had moving up. But we know the competition is stiff. And if you look at that schedule, there's not a game on there that you say, okay, that's a win. And I think back when we were in the Southland and the WAC, I think you would look at most schedules and say, okay, here's your 6 or 7 wins, and now you have to go win these 3 or 4 games and make the playoffs and have a chance to make a deep run. Different world we live in right now, and everything is literally either a 50-50 game or will be an underdog.
Tyler Shaw with KBTX and College Station. Coach, after such a long coaching career, what are kind of your thoughts and how are you feeling going to the FBS level for the first time?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything I had to do, but I'm glad we're doing it. I remember having some deep philosophical discussions with my athletic director about this whole move. And there was a point as we talked about it, I realized with the direction of FCS football, this was the right move. With what Conference USA was putting together. We're doing some things at Sam Houston that maybe we wouldn't have done if we weren't making this move. We're tearing down our press box next year. We're putting $50 million into a brand new facility there. There's talk of, an indoor and doing different things. We're putting a new field turf field in next year. There's so many things that are happening, and a lot of that's, we were pushed to do this because of FBS football. Maybe that's what we needed to have happen. But I know early on, I vacillated back and forth about going into doing this, but as time went on, it made all the sense in the world. We've gone from 15,000 students to 22,000 students, since I've been there. At one point we were the 14th fastest growing university in America. There's the 5th fastest growing town in Texas. 10 years from now, we'll have 30,000 students, and we'll be playing big-time college football. And it's going to be really what we've done the last couple of years is the reason why we're doing this. And there should be a lot of pride in this program moving forward. And so, we're all excited, and we think we can compete because I have an amazing location, and we're able to recruit really good football players that want to stay home in Texas. And again, we're hoping that we can go in and show well our first year in Conference USA.
Yeah, and you've said before, you want to be in a place where you can compete for championships. Do you feel like you're in that kind of situation right now?
Absolutely. The landscape of college football is changing so dramatically with the NIL and the transfer portal. I think we've navigated that pretty well so far. I believe, because of our location and the commitment that we're making to, facilities and upgrading with the football program, I think it's an opportunity that we can, go and win and go to bowl games and get bowl wins and do those kind of things.
Ben Peck with KX from College Station. For the players, I know at your respective positions, you guys have, obviously, as Coach was alluding to, have a lot of depth in some places, and I know you brought in some outside guys, even in addition to what y'all already have. How have those guys kind of helped just push everybody, especially making this jump to kind of, know that, I know you guys have a lot of pride in what you've accomplished, but just to keep raising that bar?
I think it's important to have good competition on a team, good healthy competition, because that's able to push everyone, the new guys coming in, the new transfers, and the guys who've been here for a while. So I think that's really important for a team to grow and improve as a whole.
Yeah, I would say, bringing in the new guys that we have, I really like the mindset that these guys have, but I think it's, like I said, what Keegan said, I think it's good to, have that competition, just, pretty much bring the whole room up, to another level. So I think it's good competition, but I think it's great, just overall for this team, just the type of people that we've brought in and just who we can be, with the guys that we've added.
Carlos Zimmerman, K-SAM Radio play-by-play in Huntsville. Coach, obviously, like we just alluded to with the depth on this team, specifically at quarterback, you brought in a lot of guys that have brought really good competition. What ultimately led you to go with Keegan to be the guy that leads you guys into Conference USA?
Yeah, this is Keegan's team. And, there's a reason why he's sitting here next to me. At the same time, Keegan understands that we needed to bring competition in. And we found the perfect guy in Grant Gunnell, where he's a guy who has multiple years. We wouldn't have brought a one-year guy in to compete with Keegan. That's not how we would have operated. But we found a guy that had multiple years, who had a good enough track record. He was good enough to play at this level, but at the same time has 3 years of eligibility. And so we very open and honest in our discussions. And I remember Keegan seeing Grant for the first. Hey, remember youth football? We were playing against each other, and they hugged it out. But that's who he is. I mean, he understands that the position he plays. We need to play at a high level there. And he embraces the competition. And I thought he had an outstanding spring, and he's been leading this team so far this summer. So, I think when you have guys like Keegan who get it, they understand competition's what makes all of us better. It's not like, hey, you guys all compete and I want my own spot. It's like, no, we all have to compete. I think that translates through your program. How he handled the quarterback competition, it translates through your whole program, and that's why he's sitting here with me right now.
And players, I'll ask you guys, each of you have seen all the transitions that this program has gone through, from the Southland to the WAC and now Conference USA. Let me just ask both of you, what does this mean for you guys to be a part of such a huge, probably the biggest transition in this program's history?
I would say, just from my perspective, being here since 2018, you've seen the growth. You've seen, just everything, that Sam has done, in terms of just the tradition and just, the culture of winning, that they've had, for the past 10 plus years, and, to see that happening, and then for it to actually, become a reality now to play, FBS football and take that next step, I think it's huge. And I think it's just, like I said, a culmination, of the people that have played here in the past, and, just up to now, where we can take this team. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
It's a huge opportunity for this team and this university to take a huge step forward and to, just overall improve and, show what we got.
Back left over here.
Coach, Nick Pierce, Liberty Flame Sports Network. Talk about your depth. Where's some of the key position battles that you're going to be keeping an eye on in fall camp for, roster, or not roster spots, but playing time and so forth?
Yeah, we're so deep at linebacker. We redshirted 3 of the best linebackers, maybe that I ever coached. And here we have, KG comes down from safety, and we bump him linebacker, and he's Defensive Player of the Year in our conference, and he's the finalist for the Buck Buchanan Award. And so I think there's some opportunities for us to find ways to get more linebackers on the field with the depth that we've created there. I really like our receiver room. Ife Adeyi and Noah Smith are both back, and then we've added Lonnie Atkins, who's I think he's in the top 6 in the history of Texas football in receiving or touchdowns or whatever it is. He's in one of those categories. And then we brought some pretty good transfer players in too. So, I think the receiver room's really deep. I think the linebackers room's really deep. But just overall, there's a lot deeper team than we would have had if we would have graduated those 15 players that decided to come back for another year.
And just a follow-up to that, are there any rooms where you're a little concerned or thinking, maybe I've got some guys here, but I'm not sure which one's going to separate themselves yet? Or
Yeah, I would say the tight end position. We redshirted our tight end last year and couldn't afford to redshirt him. But we redshirted him because you can't find tight ends. It's just, one of those positions right now. Stuff finding those 6'4", 6'5" guys who run really well, So, we decided to redshirt him, but, we have some guys who, we think can give us a second tight end or, give them a blow, but they're going to have to develop during the course of this training camp. We saw some development during the spring. We need more development during training camp. But tight end would definitely be a spot that, you're hoping that room grows and gets better.
Colton Foster with the Huntsville Item. Trevor, it's been kind of a couple weird years for you. In 2020, 2021, you all played 2 seasons. You don't play but 4 games last year. How do you kind of get back in the mojo of playing a full season again? Yeah, I think it's, first off, just understand, the schedule that we have coming up, it definitely creates some excitement and some motivation. But, I think it's, playing those 4 games, like I said, I got a different perspective of the game and, just kind of, really sitting back and looking, just figure out what I can do different, what I can do a little bit better. But just having this period of time has kind of allowed me, for myself to grow and, be a better person. I think it's also given me the ability and opportunity, to, just get prepared and excited, for this season. So I'll definitely say, this season is something that I can definitely, have, looking forward to it, just for some motivation and some, excitement getting back into it. And then, Coach, this year teams will be playing midweek games. Is there anything you're doing in the fall, or will be doing in the fall and summer to kind of prep for that?
Yeah, we've planned out the season already, because typically it's just like you're just getting a normal roll. But now, all of a sudden you're playing a Wednesday, so Tuesday's really your Friday, and Monday's really your Thursday. So we've looked at the schedule. Obviously we think the real tough transition for us is going to be playing that Saturday night game in Houston and then coming and playing, on national television on Thursday night, where you're really missing 2 days of preparation against Jacksonville State. And then for the most part from there, we're pretty fortunate that, we might have a Thursday game that goes to a Wednesday, but after that they're all pretty, going to be a week difference. But I think the times that you really got to manage is when you're on those shorter weeks. I think the fact that, most of our kids are going to be in online classes. COVID did something positive. It was kind of opened up the online opportunities, and people decided that this is something that, college campuses need to have. And so because of that, we'll be able to manage our way through with a lot of our kids in a lot of online for the fall, because again, with those midweek games, you got to be able to manage your academics also. And then also, just what does it mean to be playing, on those ESPN2s, ESPNUs, and all that? Yeah, we looked at when we played for the national championship, we had four weekends in a row that we were in national television. And I mean, the number of people, the number of eyeballs that saw Sam Houston, it was just awesome. Now we're on seven, at least a minimum of 7 games will be on national televised linear TV. That's pretty exciting. And those midweek games, everyone's looking for football on a Wednesday and Thursday because they can't get it anywhere else, and we're going to be that option in October. So pretty exciting to have the opportunity to get so many games that people get a chance to see on linear TV.
We got one final question in the back.
Coach, with the red shirts that you mentioned, what did that do for your team? Not only heading into this year, giving you extra depth with the guys with the extra agility, but going through last year, having some of those guys maybe get on the field that wouldn't have otherwise, and even going through practice since those guys were healthy red shirts. I guess they kind of went up against a stacked scout team. What did that do for, you think, their development and the team as a whole?
There's a number of guys who started 5 or 6 games that now have starting experience that if we wouldn't have redshirted those guys, might not even got it on the field. So there's a lot of places where you look at the roster, you go, boy, we have like 3 guys who have significant starts at that position because our top guys only played 4 games, and so someone had to come in and play those next 5. So again, I think it just made the roster deeper in a lot of different ways, but a lot of young guys got a chance to play maybe earlier than anticipated. The other thing is, some guys like Trevor Williams took advantage of, stepping up and being a coach. I mean, Trevor was coaching those guys, so now he has a little different relationship with those teammates than maybe he would have had if he was just playing the season. Because with that extra time, some of our top guys got in there and really helped coach those young guys. So I think overall, now that we've went through it, I think it's going to be a plus for us.
All right, thank you all very much for your time today and for attending the 2023 CUSA Kickoff.